Welcome to Disconnecting Interregional History, Deadliest Warrior Edition. Today we will be reliving a turbulent time in U.S. history, the Indian Wars. The Indian Wars from 1872 to 1890 represented the last major clash of two cultures, philosophies, and armies on the North American continent. As soon as Europeans reached the New World in 1492, relations with the indigenous population were strained, to say the least. Later, in the early days of Jamestown, natives and the English settlers often fought and killed one another. Conflicts like King Philip's War and other incursions foreshadowed the entirety of native relations with the white settlers. Fast forward to the 1870s, manifest destiny is in full swing, and a newly reunited union is stretching its arms westward, into Native American territory. Braves protecting their villages clashed with militiamen seeking out new land. Ancient bows and arrows faced off with Winchester rifles in brutal showdowns. Today, we will recreate one of those deadly encounters with a team of specialists and professors familiar with this period. We will look at the different strengths and weaknesses of both parties, physical and psychological. By analyzing the weapons of the natives and of the militiamen at the same time, we will create a simulation pitting a four-man squad from each faction against each other in 1,000 simulated battles, the outcome of which will be shown with one real-time battle.
This is the weapons room, where experts from both sides demo respective instruments of destruction on dummies. Demonstrating the U.S. militia arsenal will be Liam Fritchie, professor of U.S. history at Vanderbilt, Kyle Foster, an avid gun ranger, and Nathan Orsini, a Winchester enthusiast and expert at Native American throat singing. For the Native American weapons, we have Kevin Fredericks, Sweat Lodge enthusiast, Michael Davis, American analyst, and John Wolfson, casino owner of Sitting Bull's Palace. John is also our trauma expert, being very experienced in trauma and having a degree in trauma from Native American University. First, the long-ranged weapons. The Native American bow and arrow versus the U.S. Kentuckian and Winchester rifles.
You may proceed. So, Dr. Wolfson, what do we have here as far as trauma goes?
As an expert in trauma, let's take a look at the damage here. Right here, based on Michael's shots, it looks like it struck his trachea.
So is that a kill shot?
I would say so. It's going to cause a lot of trauma to his windpipe, and it's going to affect his ability to breathe, and he's not going to get enough oxygen to his brain. Here's a more... it's going to strike close to his heart. It's going to cause a lot of trauma in that chest area. You know, it's going to rip apart all the muscle there. It'll cause a lot of bleeding. Might strike his heart, but it's going to also be close to the airways. So it's going to cause a lot of trauma that can, you know, cause him to die.
What about this one? Is that going
to... this one might not be a kill shot. You know, it might break a rib. It might cause some bleeding, but it's very well protected area. You know, it might hit his ribs, but that's about it. There's not enough trauma there to, you know, cause him to die of too much trauma.
Right. So if you have two kill shots and one non-kill shot, is about 2 out of 3.
Yeah,
right?
I'd say 2 out of 3. Very good percentage to kill from, you know, too much trauma.
Yeah.
All right. So there's gonna be a lot of trauma in any area where the bullet hits. Right. If it's your arm, everything's gonna be shattered. You know, you're gonna have tendons ripped. A lot of trauma in there. You have to be able to move. Leg, same deal. Chest, you're going to bleed out most likely. A lot of trauma, unless you get attention immediately. Even then, high chance of dying from infection. Head, you're done.
Yeah, we're not even going to talk about that.
That is just too traumatic to speak about.
And then 12 more after that.
Let's talk with our trauma expert, John. John, what could you tell us about the effectivity of this gun?
Let's say it strikes the sides, right? The bullet comes through. It's going to tear through muscle, that same sort of deal. It's not enough for a killing blow, though. It has to be in the center for it to really hit any arteries or anything that's important that's going to cause you to bleed out.
Cause trauma.
Yes. It won't cause enough trauma unless it's a dead center. It's the chest area, has a possibility of going straight through the lungs or hitting the heart, which is going to kill you right on the spot. That's a lot of trauma right there. Next, same deal. You know, having something go through your windpipe is definitely a very traumatic experience. And head, same thing. You're done.
So all in all, a very traumatic way to die.
Horrific. Horrific, Michael.
Thank you, John. So Liam, we have our long-range weapons here, and we got to figure out which one of these has the advantage over the other one. What do you think?
Now, I think the Winchester has it, no contest, but you can reload this fast and just fire. I think the bow has no chance.
I think you're right, but if only one soldier has them, and if the Native Americans can take their bow and neutralize the guy with the Winchester, I think that they've got it over the Kentuckian.
Right, they have it over the Kentuckian. It takes way too long to reload. You can shoot someone with an arrow far faster than you can reload and shoot someone with this.
And it's inaccurate.
Right, it only kills if it hits. But when it hits, it has a big impact. But I don't think it hits enough to do that, so I think it's a draw.
I think we're going to have to call it a draw. Now the medium-range weapons, the U.S. revolver versus the native tomahawk.
So, Nathan, as a revolver expert, can you demonstrate to us what a frontiersman would have done with a revolver in 1870?
Well, frontiersman would probably cock the gun back once and then let loose a quick couple of shots into his enemy.
So, Dr. Volson, can you explain what the trauma might have caused?
Anywhere up here, he's gone. You know, trauma's way too much. You know, it's getting shot in the face is a pretty traumatic experience. So he's done.
What about the arms and the legs?
Arms and legs, you know, he'll be incapacitated. You know, he won't be able to move his arms that much or fire a gun. But you know, other than that, or shoot an arrow, whatever your preference is. But you know, it'll be hard to move, and he'll be out of combat for a while. Lots of trauma there too.
All in all, a very effective weapon, you'd say?
The gun, traumatic. Traumatic.
So, Dr. Volson, explain to us how this ancient meat cleaver could be used on an American soldier.
Yes, the tomahawk. So this is a very deadly weapon. What you're going to want to try to do is stun him a bit. So, you know, you might go at the midsection a bit, cut him close to where the ribs are for a hit at the arm, to say. After that, you're going to want to go for the killing blow. So anything at the neck with a tomahawk is a pretty sure kill. You know, you're going to collapse the windpipe, cause a lot of trauma.
But all in all, very effective?
Very effective weapon.
Let's move on.
So our medium-range weapons, we have our revolvers and the tomahawks.
All right.
So the revolver, of course, that's the 6-shot. That's pretty damaging. But the tomahawk can be thrown.
I think this is pretty cut and dry. When you have 6 shots against 1, depending on how accurate it is for medium range, I think the edge goes to the revolver.
Yeah, I think 6 shots versus 1, maybe a hit, maybe it bounces off of them. I think that we have to give the edge to the revolver. Last, the short-range weapons. The U.S. Cavalry Saber versus the native spear.
Right in the eyes, that's where you want to focus. Your assault.
All right, Kevin, that's enough. He's dead by this point, okay? So, I just want to go over the trauma here. So, what Kevin was doing was he was making very effective use of the stabbing technique, right? And once he's going to go a couple inches deep here. If it goes deep enough, you can puncture the heart and cause lots of internal bleeding.
Or how deep would you have to go here in order to cause some significant damage?
I'd say at least 2 to 3 inches to be able to reach anything.
All in all, a very effective weapon, wouldn't you say?
Indubitably.
So this is a Civil War sword, which was continued on its use into the late 1800s until it became, of course, ineffective to do so. But most officers at the time and most people honored in war would usually carry one of these at their side as a general melee weapon, and they were, of course, very good at cutting, at slashing, that is, and also at stabbing because of the sharp point.
Let's just focus on the stabbing aspect, right? A sword such as this is very hard and strong. So what's going to happen is that you're going to get a couple inches of penetration into the body. As we're talking about Native Americans, they're not having a lot of body armor, so slashes anywhere across the body are going to be very effective. It's going to cut through skin. Anywhere where the arteries are, chest, neck, head, you're going to be hitting a lot of major important areas that are going to cause a lot of trauma. And because of that, a lot of slashing blows can be killing blows, or fatal blows in that sense.
So our short-range weapons, we've got the Cavalry Saber versus the spear. What do you think?
This is an interesting matchup, Mike, because it's historical.
That's true. This has been all throughout history.
Right, historically, the sword has always beaten the spear just because of technique. But I think that since the Native Americans are more experienced with melee and they use that every day for everyday life,
For hunting and throwing and everything.
U.S. soldiers are starting not to be trained in hand-to-hand combat at this time, so I think the edge goes to the spear.
I think so. I think that once they get that sword away, they've got the reach, they've got the length, they can really get it. So I think edge, spear.
only two of us. I only got one shot left.
No, wait, Liam, dude!
Hard Stallion, no!
No, he wasn't ready. No.
Ankle breaker! Hepatitis, see you later, kid!
So Liam, I ran 1,000 battles, and out of those 1,000 battles, the natives lost nearly every single time.
Now, we were already expecting that, Mike. What we didn't account for, though, was that the U.S. only won because of their technological advantages over the natives, and not their combat expertise.
Right, when it came to close range, hand-to-hand combat, the sword versus the spear and the tomahawk, really the tomahawk and the spear pulled through because the natives had the better teaching, they had the better training, they had the better soldiership when it came to that close range combat.
Exactly. They use those tools for everyday life. But when the U.S. was able to bring in the Winchester and the revolver,
too.
Of course, the tide changed.
Yes, and I think because of that, I think because of the technological advances, I think because of the better equipment, I think because of the better shots that they could take, especially over the Kentuckian, I think that it was definitely going to happen that the U.S. was going to win nearly every single battle.